Scenario 957. Fade in. Interior laser generator room, night. Cement pillars surround a giant laser cannon that stretches up to a ceiling that's 50 feet high. A glass chamber at the base of the cannon holds a blue crystal that pulses with a slow rhythm. Underneath a three-sided computer console, James, 16, lies unconscious in a sleek jumpsuit sporting a NASA logo on the shoulder. Above him, all three computer screens flash warning signs. Explosions shake the ground. Alarms sound. Computer screens flash red and James wakes up.
Warning, magnetic containment has failed.
Glowing magnetic panels attached to the cement pillars lose power and the lights weaken. James jumps to his feet.
Oh, no you don't.
He rips open an electric panel on one of the pillars. He yanks out 3 wires and flips a switch.
Computer, initiate power cycle on magnetic dampeners.
Initiating power cycle.
The magnetic panels light up again.
Magnetic containment restored.
James smiles with relief.
Uranium overload imminent. Emergency cooldown activated.
Stop! Water will destabilize the crystal and ruin this entire operation.
Unable to comply. Uranium overload imminent.
James races back to the computers and types in a few frantic commands.
Stupid failsafes.
Blue crystal pulses frantically. The rhythm goes faster and faster. Jets of water shoot into the crystal's chamber. The crystal's color dims from blue to gray.
No.
James leaps over the console and pulls a red lever on the generator. Vents on either side of the glass chamber eject the water onto the floor.
Radioactive water detected. Hazmat suit required.
Yeah, relax. I already took some radiation pills.
James splashes through the water to adjust the dials beside the glass chamber. The lights inside of the chamber hum and change color from yellow to white. James types a command into the keypad right next to it. The crystal glows dimly, but it's still pulsing faster than it was before. James fiddles with the dials again.
Come on, baby, stay with me.
To the computer.
How long until the shuttle is in position?
Shuttle will arrive at the FTL event coordinates in 30 seconds.
The crystal settles back into a slow, pulsing rhythm, glowing just as brightly as before.
Yes.
Uranium frequency have stabilized.
Duh, of course they have.
He runs back to the console and hits a red button.
And now it's time for the pièce de résistance.
The ceiling opens, revealing a dark, smoky sky. James grabs a portable breathing mask from under the console and holds it to his face. The top of the laser cannon extends through the ceiling.
Activating laser on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark!
James throws a blue switch at the top of the console. The crystal glows bright. An intense laser shoots out of the top of the generator and into the sky.
Yeah! We did it! Next stop, Alpha Centauri and saving mankind.
As the ceiling closes, James drops the breathing mask. He grabs a walkie-talkie from the console and holds it like it's a microphone.
Global news reporting from Cape Canaveral, here with our rock star scientist, James Kale, son of the legendary Robert H. Kale, inventor of uranium energy. James, your cool-headed brilliance has given an entire world hope for survival, and now your father will be the first human visitor to the Alpha Centauri system, paving the way for the rest of mankind to follow. How do you feel?
James strikes a disco pose.
I feel like dancing.
James shimmies all over the floor like he's Michael Jackson. The door to the generator room slides open and handsome physicist Dr. Kale, 40s, walks in, wearing a NASA jumpsuit like James. He sighs when he sees James' crazy dance.
James, you were supposed to be sleeping.
To the computer.
Computer and simulation.
The generator room disappears, revealing a room covered in black tiles and holographic projectors.
Dad, I was in the middle of my victory dance.
Dr. Kale puts James into a headlock and teasingly grinds his knuckles into his skull.
Stop!
And what's going to happen when you're so tired that you fall asleep at the console and miss the weather window?
James wriggles out of the headlock and grins at his father.
That's the simulation I just ran. Operation Sleepy Driver mixed in with a little terrorist attack.
You're unbelievable.
I know. I pulled off the operation with 15 seconds to spare, even with water contamination.
Congratulations, son. I'm here to tell you that you're routing power to charge up this uranium laser. Now it's time to launch a real rocket.
All the lights power off. Dr. Kale turns on a flashlight and hands it to James.
But I haven't tried the UFO sighting with worldwide panic yet.
A UFO sighting?
You just told me to plan for everything.
A team of 5 hardened Marines march through the door, dressed in full combat gear. They're led by the burly, no-nonsense Sergeant Wallace, 30s. All of the Marines have breathing masks hanging loose from their helmets.
Doctor, time to go.
Dr. Kale nods, all business now. Laid back Marine Greg Robertson, 30s, tosses 2 breathing packs to the scientists. He helps them put on helmets and attach the masks.
It's only a half-mile to mission control and this whole complex is secure. Isn't 5 Marines overkill?
Greg's walkie crackles.
Sergeant, we've got protesters lining up at the gates.
Sound of angry yells can be heard through the walkie.
The time of the launch was supposed to be a secret. How did they know?
You two weren't exactly popular after the energy disaster.
That wasn't our fault. That stupid lab tech set the wrong frequency and started a chain reaction.
Greg tightens the chain strap on James's helmet and winks at him for moral support.
Diamond formation. I'll take the point.
The Marines form a tight diamond around Dr. Kale and James, squashing them together. James tugs on the uncomfortable chin strap. As one, the Marines march out of the simulation chamber. Exterior, Cape Canaveral, sunset. Title over, Cape Canaveral, year 2190. Instead of a green coastal launch site in Florida, it's a post-apocalyptic desert covered with dust and toxic smoke. Barely visible through the smoke, a sleek spaceship stands upright, ready to blast off. 2 miles away from the shuttle, the Marines exit the simulation center and walk through a cluster of industrial buildings towards 2 jeeps that are waiting to transport them to mission control. Exterior, Cape Canaveral, front gate, same time. A crowd of protesters dressed in ragged clothes press up against the chain-link fence surrounding the Air Force Base, shouting. They all wear breathing masks, and some pass the masks back and forth because there aren't enough to go around. The protesters carry signs made of cardboard and driftwood. Many signs show the word Zeranium circled with a slash through it, or have giant crushing Zeranium crystals under their feet. Other signs read, Dr. Kale, Planet Killer.
Stop the launch! Stop Zeranium! Stop the launch! Stop Zeranium!
A line of soldiers stand behind the fence, ready to start shooting if things get out of hand. An army truck drives up to the gate, the bed of the truck full of barrels labeled liquid nitrogen, and a tarp on top of them. The protesters see the truck and rush towards it, stopped by 6 more soldiers that jump out of the back and fire warning shots.
Get back to the breathing shelters. Now!
The protesters fall back and the gate opens to let the truck through. Interior, truck bed, continuous. Close up on a crazed, bloodshot eye that stares at a group of soldiers and protesters through a hole in one of the barrels. The eye watches the people shrink as the truck pulls away from the gate. The person inside the barrel grins and covers up the hole with a piece of plastic. Exterior, industrial buildings, sunset. The Marines wait in an alleyway while a Marine scouts the area around the jeeps. James taps his foot with impatience. Dr. Kale puts a reassuring hand on his shoulder. The Marine turns back and motions the all clear. As soon as they exit the alleyway, the ground erupts in machine gun fire. 4 terrorists, dressed in desert camo, fire from the rooftops. The bullets explode on impact, immediately taking down 3 Marines. Greg yanks down James and Dr. Kale and shoves them under one of the jeeps. Wallace ducks, rolls, and shoots the terrorist on the building behind them. He and Greg tip over the jeep, hiding the scientist to create better cover from the remaining gunmen. The terrorists respond by throwing a grenade. Greg aims his gun high and shoots it. The explosion knocks everyone down. The gunfire stops, both sides waiting for the other to make a move. James extracts himself from his father's tight hold to pick up a smashed bullet from the ground. One end of it is split open like a flower, and the metal glitters with bits of blue crystal dust.
Dad, look, they're using microscopic uranium crystals to make the bullets explode.
Which means they're unstable.
James and Dr. Kale grin at each other through their breathing masks. Dr. Kale turns around and James uses a multi-tool to take the cover off his dad's breathing pack, while Greg and Wallace keep the terrorists pinned down.
What are you doing?
If we can create a sound burst at exactly the right frequency, it will force the Zeranium crystals in their ammunition to explode.
You can do that?
Yeah, but it'll destroy my breathing unit.
We'll share mine, Dad.
Exterior, mission control, sunset. The army truck with the barrels parks on a wide cement pad in front of a square adobe building. The driver, 20s, jumps out and hears an explosion of gunfire in the distance. Other soldiers standing next to the building race to the jeeps in the parking lot and drive off towards the gunfire. Interior, truck bed. The hole in the barrel opens. The crazed eye watches the soldiers leave. Then a ragged, bearded man named Henry, spry, 60s, climbs out wearing desert camo clothes identical to the ones worn by the terrorists. He pulls a heavy canvas backpack out of a second barrel and jumps onto the ground. Henry takes a power drill out of his backpack, but when he turns it on, a high-powered laser comes out of the end. He etches a circle into the ground with the laser. When he completes the circle, a round piece of cement falls 40 feet into exposed underground tunnel. Exterior, industrial buildings, moments later. Greg and Wallace still crouch behind the overturned Jeep and exchange a few shots with the gunmen on the roofs. Wallace picks off a man that tries to move to a different rooftop. James twists one last screw on the metal disc that used to be the inside of the breathing pack.
Finished. Ready, Dad?
Dr. Kale nods. He takes a deep breath and takes off his ruined breathing pack. James throws it high into the air. It immediately attracts gunfire while Dr. Kale tosses the metal disc into the square. The disc pulses with an intense, high-pitched whine. The terrorist guns explode, killing them instantly and spraying shrapnel everywhere. Exterior, mission control, same time. Henry drops a length of rope into the hole. The other end is secured to the trailer hitch on the truck. An explosion sounds in the distance. Henry looks up and sees the smoke near the simulation center.
Idiots. I told them to use normal bullets.
Henry tugs on the rope to test its stability.
Don't worry, Henry. We'll take care of the scientists. I'll be fine, don't worry. And if you had listened to me, your plan would have worked and they'd be dead, and I wouldn't have to do this.
Henry grabs the rope and lowers himself into interior underground tunnel, continuous. The floor of a wide cement tunnel lined with pipes and wires on the walls. Henry trips over the rope and barely keeps himself from crashing into the floor. He rights himself and changes the setting on his laser drill before silently scurrying away, holding the drill in front of him like a gun. Exterior, industrial buildings, moments later. The dust from the explosion clears. James and Dr. Kale pass the breathing mask back and forth between them. Greg and Wallace step out from behind the overturned Jeep, guns ready. They're greeted by silence instead of bullets.
All clear. Time to go.
They shove the scientists into the remaining Jeep and drive towards mission control. Interior, mission control, night. Complete darkness, except for the glow of emergency lights on the walls shining down on rows and rows of darkened computer monitors. Lieutenant Morgan, 20s, a nervous female officer in an Air Force uniform, sits at the only computer that's turned on. It shows a loading bar at 98%. Behind her, a female paramedic, 30s, points a flashlight into James's eyes, checking for a concussion. James pushes it away.
I told you I'm fine.
Green light flashes above the observation screens on the opposite wall.
Charge complete, General.
Applause and cheers. Fluorescent lights turn on to reveal a crowd of military personnel in jumpsuits, watched over by a stiff general, 50s, in a dress uniform. Dr. Kale enters the room, decked out in a spacesuit astronaut gear. He's flanked by Greg and Wallace. The general approaches him to shake hands, but Dr. Kale brushes past him to check on James.
You all right?
Dad, you should be in the shuttle already. If you miss this weather window, it'll be weeks before we can try again.
Dr. Kale looks at the paramedic. She smiles reassuringly.
He's fine. The scrapes and bruises are minor.
Are you sure about that? This kid threw up all over my Jeep.
James flashes a glare at Wallace.
That wasn't because I was sick. It was the ultrasonic sound waves from the blast. If you guys weren't so deaf from old age, you would have heard it too, and we'd all be covered in vomit.
Yes, we're all grateful to be old and deaf and free of vomit. Thanks for saving our lives, kid.
They exchange a fist bump and Dr. Kale sweeps James into a tight hug.
Good luck, James.
James tears up.
Dad, what if it fails?
Dr. Kale pulls away to look James in the eye.
All the practice you've put in? Look, James, there's no one I trust more than you to sit at the controls while I'm in that shuttle.
But anything could happen.
Then I guess you'll just have to figure out how to come back and save me.
James rolls his eyes.
Dad, we're not even close to using Zeranium for time travel.
Dr. Kale laughs and hugs him again.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but it's time to go.
Dr. Kale reluctantly lets go of James.
See you in 7 months, kid.
I'll escort him to the lab set.
Bring a bag in case he gets sick over the consoles.
Ha, very funny, Dad.
Greg and James exit. The general finally manages to shake Dr. Kale's hand.
Doctor, it's been an honor. Safe travels.
Dr. Kale nods and Wallace escorts him out of the room. Interior, laser generator room, night. Dr. Thurman, 40s, is in a lab coat and dead on the floor, a smoking hole in his chest. There's a pile of dead guards by the door. Henry holsters the laser drill and puts down his backpack. He pulls out 4 battered tripods topped with glass spheres. He sets them up in a square around the generator. Henry runs wires from the tripods to the generator, then connects a shabby handheld computer to the generator's keypad and puts on a wireless earpiece that has a microphone. Henry taps a few keys on the computer, and the pulsing crystal starts to lose its regular rhythm. He jumps when Dr. Thurman's walkie-talkie crackles.
Dr. Thurman, how's the generator?
Henry drops the computer and grabs the walkie from Thurman's belt. He touches the other hand to his earpiece to turn it on. It distorts his voice so that he sounds just like Dr. Thurman.
All levels are normal, sir.
Excellent. The shuttle is in the air. It'll arrive at the FTL coordinates in 15 minutes. James is on his way.
Henry grimaces and pockets the walkie. He unclips Dr. Thurman's ID badge from the lab coat, but the ID card is blackened and melted from the laser shot. He curses under his breath and throws the ID card to the ground.
Next time, shoot the genius doctors in the head, not the chest.
He disconnects his computer from the generator and hooks it up to the door controls on the wall instead. The screen scans through an endless list of numbers, trying to crack the code.
Come on.
Interior, underground tunnel, 15 minutes to launch. James and Greg ride a Jeep down the cement tunnel and park it at a T intersection. Greg gets out of the Jeep and freezes when he looks down the hallway to the left. At the end of the hallway is an unguarded open door to the generator room.
James, the guards are missing. Stay back.
Missing guards? Well, that's simulation 46.
James runs into the hallway before Greg can stop him.
Hey, wait up!
Interior, laser generator room, continuous. Henry punches a button on his handheld computer and the door slams shut in James's face. Interior, hallway, continuous. Greg catches up with James and James grabs the walkie from Greg's belt.
Hey,
General, there's an intruder.
A burst of static interrupts him.
General, come in.
it's jammed. Come on.
Greg and James run back towards the Jeep, but the blast doors at the other end of the hallway slam shut too. Interior, laser generator room, continuous. Henry breathes a sigh of relief and walks back inside the perimeter of his tripods. He hooks up his handheld computer to the generator again, and after a few taps on the screen, the crystal starts to pulse faster. The tripods fire up to create a purple force field around the laser cannon that stretches from floor to ceiling. Interior hallway, moments later. James studies the controls for the door to the generator room.
Shouldn't we be opening the other one so that we can get backup?
I tried that in simulation 47. There won't be enough time to get help before the FTL event and we'll miss the weather window.
Does that mean you can open this one?
Of course I can. That was simulation 48.
James takes Greg's helmet off his head and uses it to smash open the controls.
Could you stop grabbing my stuff?
James hands him the helmet.
Sorry, but it's faster than using my pocket tools.
James pulls out his multi-tool and starts fiddling with the computer hardware inside the door controls. Interior laser generator room, 8 minutes to launch. Safe in his force field, Henry's hands fly across his handheld computer, the crystal pulsing in time with his keystrokes.
Increase temperature to 650 degrees. Make it vibrate at a rate of 5,000 cycles per second.
The walkie-talkie crackles, startling him.
Dr. Thurman, I assume James has made it down there all right? What's your status?
Henry uses his headset to distort his voice.
Yeah, I'm here. The temperature inside the core is holding a steady 500 degrees. The uranium is stable and you're ready to go.
Good. FTL rendezvous in 7 minutes.
Interior hallway, 7 minutes to launch. James touches 3 red wires to the control chip, all at the same time. He gets a shock, but nothing happens.
Stupid hardware.
Would you like me to shoot it?
No, just... Duh, it's the 3.2 model. They upgraded the security last week. That means it's the green wires.
James yanks out 2 green wires. He adds them to the others in his hand and tries again. The blast doors creak open 2 feet wide. It's just enough room to squeeze through. Greg blocks James from rushing in. He carefully surveys the room.
James, he's behind a force field.
What?
James pokes his head through the gap.
Ah, crap. It's kinetic. Dad loves those things. Anything you throw at it just bounces back.
Where's he getting the energy? A power drain that big would have shown up on the monitors and alerted the general.
He must have raised the temperature to increase the energy output of the uranium. He wants to use it to destroy the shuttle.
Greg stops James from charging through the doors. He steps into the room ahead of James, alert for any threats. James checks Dr. Thurman's pulse while Greg examines the pile of guards. James shakes his head.
He's dead.
Same here.
James picks up Thurman's discarded handheld computer and uses it to scan the force field. Greg pokes at it with the butt of his gun, trying to find a weak spot. The infrared image on the handheld shows that the energy is concentrated in the glass spheres and the blue crystal inside the generator. Greg pokes the force field again, harder. It It crackles, and a wave of purple energy tosses Greg into a cement pillar.
Told you. With that much energy coming from the crystal, it's too strong to break through.
Can you deactivate it?
The handheld computer beeps, highlighting a spot with low energy up at the ceiling where a pipe is slowly leaking a white gas.
That's the hydrogen coolant pipe. If I can deliver a shock of 10,000 volts from up there, it'll ionize the surrounding gas and disrupt the field.
James pulls up the flashlight his father gave to him and grins. He puts it in his back pocket and clips the handheld computer to his belt before shimmying up a utility ladder.
Wait, shouldn't I be the one to...
Can you create a power overload with a flashlight battery and a computer chip?
No.
James keeps climbing. Greg takes cover behind a pillar and keeps his gun aimed at Henry's head. Interior laser generator room inside the force field. 3 minutes to FTL. Henry watches James and Greg through the force field. When James's blurred form starts climbing the ladder, Henry looks up and sees the leaky pipe.
You never quit, do you?
He grabs his laser gun and very carefully aims at the weak spot, but his walkie crackles with the generals again.
Dr. Thurman, status report?
Henry drops the gun and grabs the walkie. He touches the headset to distort his voice again.
Fluctuations are holding at the acceptable levels, and James here is itching to throw that switch.
Dr. Kale's voice interrupts the transmission.
Be patient, son. We have to get the timing right or it won't work.
Henry looks up. James is almost at the ceiling.
Don't worry, Dad. I've got it.
Henry picks up his laser gun and aims at the ceiling. Interior, laser generator room, ceiling. 2 minutes to launch. James stops a few ladder rungs below the leaky pipe. He pulls up the collar of his jumpsuit up to cover his mouth. He rips the backing off the handheld computer. He then removes the flat silver diodes from the flashlight and inserts them into the motherboard of the computer. Greg kneels and re-aims his gun at Henry through the force field, ready to shoot as soon as it comes down. James mounts the last couple rungs, anchors himself to the ladder, then covers his eyes as he pushes a button on the handheld. Electric current arcs from the computer to the hydrogen gas just as interior laser generator room inside the force field continuous. Henry pulls the trigger of his laser gun and the bolt travels through the weak spot in the force field to hit James on the shoulder. The force field dances with purple lightning bolts that strike the tripod devices and shatter the glass spheres. As James's body falls from the ladder, the force field comes down as well. Interior laser generator room continuous. Instead of shooting Henry, Greg runs to catch James, who's only semi-conscious. He checks James's pulse, then goes back to aiming his gun at Henry just as Henry coolly shoots Greg in the chest. The walkie crackles again.
Doctor, we're getting some strange readings from the generator. What just happened?
Henry uses the headset to change his voice again.
Just a brief power surge. I advise we delay FTL rendezvous for 1 minute while we compensate.
Fix it now, or we'll lose our chance.
Yes, sir.
James opens his eyes to see Greg's smoking chest and dead eyes. Henry yanks James up by the collar and shoves the laser gun into his face.
You'll ruin our last hope for survival if you destroy that shuttle.
No. You and your father are the ones who will destroy that hope, along with this entire planet. This time, you're going to die instead.
James tries to pull away, but Henry slams him against the cement pillar and puts the laser gun to his head. Interior space shuttle cockpit. 1 minute to FTL launch. Dr. Kale and an Air Force pilot, 30s, sit at the front of the shuttle. The edge of the planet Earth can be seen through the windows. Dr. Kale pushes a button on the console and flips 2 switches on the ceiling.
Initiating FTL field.
A field of blue light forms around the shuttle. The energy patterns are similar to Henry's force field. Interior laser generator room, 30 seconds to launch. Henry's hand shakes. He can't pull the trigger. Henry stares at the gun as if mentally urging it to shoot the boy on its own. In one smooth motion, James rips the gun from Henry's hands and shoots him in the leg. James races for the control console and his hands fly across the keyboard. The blue crystal dims back into its normal brightness and the crazy pulsing rhythm slows. James's hand hovers over the red button as he waits for the crystal to cool down to the right temperature. Henry crawls madly towards the generator and James kicks him away, hitting him in the face. James checks the crystal again, then hits the red button to open the ceiling and grabs the walkie.
General, we're ready to fire. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
James throws the switch. The Zeranium crystal flashes with blinding light.
No!
Henry collapses to the ground, defeated. Exterior, mission control, night. The observation screens show a giant beam of blue light erupting from the ground and shooting up into space. The crowd of military personnel cheer and clap. Interior space shuttle, continuous. The blue light of the approaching laser reflects off Dr. Kale's excited face.
See you all in 7 months.
Exterior space shuttle, continuous. The giant laser beam hits the FTL bubble, creating a nexus of white light. The ship jumps into hyperspace, disappearing in a blink of an eye. But the explosion of light caused the laser and the FTL field remains, getting brighter and hotter until it explodes, sending a massive shockwave through space. Interior, mission control, moments later. Lieutenant Morgan squints at her monitor.
Sir, there's massive energy wave headed straight for us. The radiation levels are off the scale.
The general bends over her shoulder to check the screen.
Origin.
The event horizon of the FTL launch. Only 1 minute until it hits Earth.
Evacuate the underground tunnels, now.
All of the military personnel crowd towards the doors. Lieutenant Morgan is knocked down in the rush. Interior, laser generator, 30 seconds after launch. The ceiling closes. James clutches his injured shoulder and leans against the console, exhausted with relief.
I did it. Dad, we did it. We saved the world.
No. You've condemned us all.
James turns around as Henry slowly gets up, using a pillar for support.
In 7 months, your father will return and discover that his experiment killed every living thing on this planet.
James squints at Henry. Something seems familiar about him. Light dawns on James's face and he realizes who Henry is.
Dad?
An aged Dr. Kale stumbles towards James and clutches at him, sobbing.
I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry.
James pushes him away.
Dad, why did you try to kill me?
It's coming. The energy wave.
James uses the handheld computer to scan Dr. Kale.
But we calculated that the risk of a destabilization wave was less than 0.
We were wrong,
Looks at the discarded laser drill.
and I failed again.
The computer finishes the scan and James looks at Dr. Kale in open awe.
You time traveled.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger. You're the common element, James. I've already done this hundreds of times. No matter what I do, you save the day in the fire laser. Just like I said you would.
Dr. Kale looks at James with a mixture of pride and sorrow in his face. Alarms start going off.
Why didn't you tell me?
I tried about a dozen times. I was the terrorist to brainwash my dad simulation, or the surgically alerted Dr. Kale imposter. You'd never believe me.
James shakes his head and runs back to the console. All of the screens show stats on the approaching shockwave. Dr. Kale watches sadly, not even trying to help.
But you could have time jumped earlier and convinced the government to stop the launch.
The time jump is impossible because the energy wave disrupted space, time. I can only go back 24 hours before the event.
But Dad, we could still fix this. Let's modify the laser to make a force field or use it to counteract the frequency of the energy wave.
It's too late, son.
Dr. Kale reflexively grabs James in a tight hug, as if to shield him from what's coming. Exterior, Cape Canaveral, night. A brilliant ribbon of light streaks across the landscape. Fire and earthquakes follow in its wake. Interior, mission control, continuous. The general helps Lieutenant Morgan off the floor just as the white light bursts into the room. Interior, laser generator room, continuous. The same white light rips through the generator room. Everything burns to a crisp except for Dr. Kale, who is now cradling a charred skeleton that used to be his son. A computer chirps. James's body disappears along with the laser generator room. Dr. Kale is kneeling in. Interior, simulator room, continuous. Simulator room is caked in dust and soot. The black panels singed white around the edges.
Simulation 957 of time travel solution has failed. Immediate termination of James Kale is the recommended solution.
No! That's not an option. There's only enough energy for one time jump, so we're doing this until I get it right. Reset simulation to time point 119-7.
Calculating.
I'll do this as many times as it takes.
The camera pulls back through the walls of the building to reveal exterior, Cape Canaveral. Title over, Cape Canaveral, 20 years later. The entire landscape burns. Dr. Kale's shuttle pokes out of the dusty ground. Mission Control is nothing more than a shelf filled with piles of charred bones. Fade to black.